Hello friends, family, and other creatures of the sea, and welcome back to another high-level Best of 7. Today we have SpeCial versus Astrea coming right at us. In the top left spawning as our blue Protoss player, it's going to be Astrea. And top right we'll have as our red Terran player SpeCial. And SpeCial is not only special in his name, it's also special in his playstyle. Likes to go for Battlecruiser openers, loves these kind of 1-1-1 type of build orders, very aggressive. It's kind of like the foreign Gumiho, I would say, just a little bit different. Maybe a little bit less cheesy in the early game, and does tend to make his own build order. So I guess that's where the real similarity is. Opts to go for that CC on the high ground here. Of course, these mineral patches will need to be mined out at some point in the near future. The factory gets thrown down. This was a gas first opener here, I do believe. But that fast factory as a follow-up seems to be the only logical explanation. On the other hand, we have Astrea opening up with a core first. Now, opening up with a core first against this specific opener is actually not a great build order. Because A, you can't really scout with your adept, you can't really do any damage with your initial adept. And because your opponent's Reaper is delayed, as in this case the Terran got the gas before the barracks, which leads to about a 4-second delay on the initial Reaper. Delaying your own cybernetics core to get a faster nexus and thus more eco and more gas would have been the correct play. Of course, Astrea didn't quite know if the CC was going to be built on the high ground or on the low ground when he went for the decision. And if the CC gets built on the low ground, it's actually quite nice to have that quick adept out. Now, Reaper of SpeCial hasn't really done anything yet, just been kind of chilling around at home, making sure that there's no zealots moving across the map. Now is going to check if there's anything weird happening here, which isn't quite the case. Let's follow this up with a really fast Cyclone. This is probably the fastest possible Cyclone out of this opener. Created the tech lab with his barracks. It's definitely going to be rushing this out. Oh, this is sick. Look at this scout. SpeCial's going to be scouting these. Be like, oh, there's no tech. What is this? No tech. Does he double adapt? And the funny thing here is that SpeCial might actually believe that this is a proxy oracle. At least he'll get the tech correct. But what he won't get correct is the location of that Stargate. This is... I was gonna say this is Mech, but I've been tricked too many times before. Very often what happens is that I see SpeCial open... I see SpeCial open up with like 2 barracks and a stim drop, and then he transitions into Mech. Or I see him open up with Blue Flame Hellion and a couple of Cyclones, and he'll transition into Bio. Like, I've been tricked too many times by my Mexican friend that there's no way that I'm going to call anything. But with triple factories, I almost feel tempted to say something. I'm almost tempted to say, yes, this is going to be Mech. And what type of Mech, I can't quite say yet. This could really be any type of Mech. It could be Cyclone Mech. It could be just a couple of Cyclones initially, and then with a follow-up into like a 2-base push. Getting triple factory before a 3rd command center, though, is extremely wild. It is kind of crazy, actually. The last time I've seen something like this must have been in Heart of the Swarm. Probably also watching a SpeCial game. Because this just doesn't really happen. It really just doesn't. Now that I'm thinking, I actually can't recall the last time I saw someone open up triple factory before 3rd CC. In general, mech games are extremely rare in Protoss versus Terran. But like this is Mine Cyclone. This is the type of stuff you read about on the forums. I sometimes visit the Battle.net forums, and then usually have one of these posts on the Protoss forums going, it is impossible to beat Cyclone Mine. The Cyclones lock on, and if you try to chase them, there's mines there. Now, it sounds pretty good in theory, but what tends to happen in the real world is that Protoss gets out 2 Disruptors, and Disruptors counter both Cyclones and Mines. So the moment Astrea realizes what's going on here, he's going to be in a good spot. SpeCial actually is giving a lot of information away here with... Oh my god. That is a DVA announcer. It's an Overwatch character. Last time I said DVA, someone made fun of me for mispronouncing it. But I, since then, haven't Googled how to actually pronounce it. So I'm going to stick with DVA, because that's how you spell it. If you're ignorant of something, you just pronounce it how you spell it. That's what I've always learned. This is kind of wild. He showed the barracks, lost it, needs to rebuild the barracks because he wants extra factories. He didn't really think that move over very much, did he? Oh, I don't think we need this anymore. And 3 seconds later, it's like, wait, actually, it is pretty important to get more infrastructure, isn't it? This is a crap ton of Cyclones here. 8 Cyclones. And we see the Robo go down immediately as well. Surely this is going to be 4 Disruptors. I'd love to see a 4th base. And ooh, this is a brilliant little blink here actually. Huge fan of this move. Huge fan. Because the Cyclones can't really defensively set up properly. They need to kind of chase these Stalkers around. And they'll never catch them. They'll absolutely never catch them. Oh, huge fan of this Stasis Ward as well. I really like how Astrea is playing this. Now, the one thing he needs to keep in mind is to get some vision, especially towards the bottom side, but just get like 4 or 5 pylons on the map. Ooh, this is a good fight here for SpeCial, actually. It's going to get not only 2-3 Stalkers, also ends up clearing that Oracle. It's going to start moving out with these Cyclones right now. I'm starting to wonder if there's enough Stalkers. Yes, Cyclones are really bad, but if you actually have no unit, Cyclones can kill you. They kill Stalkers very rapidly. That is the one thing I can attest to. The mine as well, allowing the Cyclones perhaps to move away if necessary. Scans are super important because the actual range of the Cyclone is so ridiculously large that sometimes Stalkers get out of vision, but you still have range on your Cyclone lock-on. A couple of Stalkers will get taken out, but at the same time a lot of Cyclones also do end up dying. This felt like a pretty poor trade overall here for SpeCial, who just now is getting his 3rd base really set up, staking the extra gases, is getting the extra factories, is getting vehicle weapons upgrade. As far as I'm aware, vehicle weapons upgrades don't actually work on the Cyclones, because they have a set amount of damage on their upgrade already. I could be wrong on this. I'm starting to doubt myself, but I do believe that it has no influence on the damage output, which is why fairly often in the past, when we saw Terrans play Cyclone Mech against Zerg, they actually opted to go for vehicle plating. Now, the reason why we see the vehicle attacks, vehicle weapons, is because, of course, there's going to be a tank follow-up, and maybe for Hellions it's also going to be useful against the Zealots, that type of stuff. Prism is going to get built. I would have loved to see a Disruptor Bay here, or a Robotics. Yeah, there we go. This is absolutely the correct call for 2 reasons. One, when you're playing against Mech, one of the most important things in the world is vision. Observer speed, double robo observer production will be absolutely huge. If you're in position against a Mech army, that means that the Mech army can't get into position. And a Mech army that isn't in position is inherently bad, because the only thing that Mech has in the Terran versus Protoss matchup is a good position. If you have a good position, it's difficult for TOS to engage into it. So you always need to play with vision if you're a Protoss player. On top of that, Disruptors are just extremely powerful against kind of the cannon fodder part of the Mech army. So whether that's going to be the Cyclones, the Hellions, or the Mines, the Disruptor will be effective against that. On top of it, if you have vision, Disruptors can actually also be very effective against tanks, because Disruptors do outrange tanks. Now, if you check the range of the Purification Nova and you check the range of the Siege Tank, you'll see that they have the same range. But because the Purification Nova is a ball, and the range, I believe, is where the middle point of the ball manages to go, with the edge of the ball you can still hit tanks without being capable of being hit. Now, I believe you have about half a range or so, so it is pretty tricky. It is difficult to do, don't get me wrong, but it is very important. If you have a lot of time, which you often have against Mech, this can be the difference. And this felt like a 2-base Mech all-in. Now kind of goes into a 2.5, 3-base Mech all-in still. Sounds weird to see someone at 166 supply, but yes, in reality, this is an all-in. Big Disruptor Ball is going to connect with one of these Cyclones right now. Second Disruptor Ball will not manage to delay this much further. It feels like Astrea is kind of getting caught off guard here. Has a lot of money, has a lot of production as well, but doesn't have that big of an army. And more importantly, doesn't have an army that's necessarily great in a straight-up engagement. As long as we keep dancing back and forth, I think Astrea is going to be happy. He wants to rebuild his army while he's sending these balls forward, while he's picking off a unit here or there. And he's outmining his opponent in such a big way, 1400 minerals per minute. Basically every trade is going to be a good trade at this point for our North American, or just our American actually, our American Protoss player. Technically both North Americans. I'm not sure if Mexico is... That's still North America, right? Or is that Middle America? I feel like that's pretty much North still. Be sure to let me know about that in the comments. As we see Astrea going up to, what is this, 5, 6, God, I can't count. 7 bases? 7 against 3. Perhaps a bit of overkill here as he gets a prism on the other side of the map. We'll take out a couple of workers. I don't really think that eco should be the main focus right now. The main focus should be trying to clear units away from this army. And a good way would be to send a couple of zealots behind to at least pick off reinforcements and set something of a flank up. I don't think it's going to matter. So Astrea started in such a sick position. Still has 2200 minerals in the bank as well. Zealot's going to connect with the Hellions. Now moving forward into the tanks. We'll actually kind of get blasted here. 2 disruptor shots take out 2 tanks. Disruptors will stay alive. Big drop in supply here for Astrea. More reinforcements coming in as well for SpeCial right now. So another disruptor shot is going to connect with at least a little bit. The problem here... well, actually, is there a problem for Astrea? I don't actually think there's a problem here. Yes, his army supply isn't brilliant. Oh! But as long as his disruptor stays somewhat alive, I don't really see a way for SpeCial to win this game. Mothership could at least get locked on, I would think, by these cyclones. As there's now 4 carriers in production as well. I mean, once these 3 carriers come out, there's going to be 7 cyclones against 3 carriers and a mothership. All of the disruptors will end up falling. There's just not enough production. There's not enough bases. If SpeCial had 7 bases behind this, bumping from 12 factories and 4 starports, this probably would be game over. But as this was a 3-base mech all-in, and he barely has 61 workers, I do believe that despite the decent-looking position here for the mech army, that SpeCial still is losing pretty hard. I like this zealot run by this attack here. It's difficult with mech to push forward, so... yeah, basically just wanting to pick off reinforcements or maybe counterattack with it is almost always a good idea. Here come the carriers, here comes the mothership, and here comes another big zealot warp in as the mech army gets completely blasted off the face of the earth. We see a recall towards the bottom side, pure zealot. I mean, it literally doesn't matter at this point. This game is so extremely over right now. I'm surprised that SpeCial is staying in. SpeCial usually not a person to waste anyone's time, especially not his own. Is going to throw the mine. GG gets called and Astrea wins game number 1 here in this best of 7. In the second game we find our way... In the second game we find ourselves here on Waterfall. As you see this probe getting locked in with the cheeky depot. I'm a huge fan of this. There's 2 schools of thought here for Terran players. So one, you can wall out the probe and you hide a little bit of extra information. So basically the Protoss doesn't know if it's going to be like some weird type of gasless expansion or if it's going to be something else a little bit odd or funky. And the other solution or the other thing that you can do as a Terran is locking the probe in. That way you get a free probe kill or force a recall. I do believe that a recall is still worth it, by the way. I've done the thinking on this. I haven't done the math on it, but I do believe that a recall is worth it. Now, what happens quite frequently is that Protoss starts the recall too late and then they waste the 50 energy. And on top of that, they also lose the probe. But let's just think about this together, okay? So basically, whenever you build something from a nexus, imagine you were, instead of recalling, you were to chrono boost the nexus. That means you'd get a unit out 10 seconds faster from the nexus. In this case, a probe, most likely, because you want to build a probe. But a probe takes 12 seconds. And also, on top of that, you need to pay 50 extra minerals for a probe as well. And the time that it's building, you can't be mining. So, in my mind, mathematically, it is almost always better to recall the probe than it is to build another probe with a chrono boost. Maybe there are some scenarios where if you're going for a specific build order and you want that build order requires like a chrono boost on, like 3 chrono boosts on a Twilight Council or 2 chrono boosts on a Stargate, then you might say, hey, I don't want to use this 50 energy. But if you're planning on chronoing the Nexus, then yeah, you should always go for the recall, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Ooh, 2 workers do end up getting killed. Now, I believe if you open Double Reaper and Hellion, you want to kill at least 3 workers, especially if you're going to end up losing every single unit. And on top of that, SpeCial didn't even manage to scout the actual tech here. That is, I don't want to use the word sad, but that's got to make him feel, yeah, a little bit sad actually. Very sad. Uh-oh, this is going to make Astrea feel a little sad. Imagine if that mine would have retargeted. How sick would have that been? Actually, how sick would that have been if that mine retargeted on the Oracle during that? That would have been the craziest play in the world. I love how the mine delayed the Oracle enough that now there's a Viking out. You just hate to see it if you're a Protoss player. You just hate to see it. Quick Viking hitting the field, liberate. Oh my god. This is a build again, isn't it? This is the... Ooh. I say ooh, but this is probably just a standard barrack. Ooh. No, this is still probably standard barracks timings. Is it? We don't see any cuts here in the workers. And we also don't see a tech lab being constructed here yet. So most likely this is just standard crap. You still would love to see something non-standard. This is a nice scout here. Look at it from the balcony over here. Look at this bad boy. True royalty. Just standing on top of there. Looking down at the pleb walking by. You couldn't let it to throw some eggs at the plebs. I'm always surprised that, you know how most royals, they stand on like a little balcony and wave to the people? I'm always surprised that no royals ever thought of just throwing down water balloons or tomatoes or something like that. Like, leave me alone! I bet that happened at some point in history. Yeah, all these people cheering. I also feel like royals these days have it way better than the royals back in the day. Back in the day, if you were a crap king, like they would behead you or... You know, they start protesting in front of your castle, or they do something bad, you know, they try to burn down your house. Nowadays, the royals, they don't have any real responsibility, probably get paid a similar amount still, and everyone loves them for some reason. They say absolutely no sense to me. Absolutely no sense. I wonder how much they could get away with. I bet if some royals would start throwing water balloons at the people downstairs that are waving at them, they would find it hilarious as well. Royals instigate a water fight. Love to see it. This game is going to quickly go in favor here of Astrea, I believe. As he manages to blink in. Did SpeCial see that? Can you hear a blink in? I think you can, right? Through the fog of war, maybe a little bit extra. Sometimes the audio... Woo! The audio range is a little bit longer than the visual range. I believe that might be the case with blink. I always believe that I can hear blinks through the fog of war. It might be my map hack shining through though. It's possible. Very late gateways. Oh, you greedy, greedy American. Look at that. 57 workers into 5 more gates. That means... Oh my god. That means if SpeCial manages to attack before these gateways get like 2 waves off, I think that Astrea is actually going to be in some trouble. The supply looks really good right now for Astrea, but a lot of that is in workers, and he's going to be oh my god, he's investing so much in infrastructure. Look how much money that is. Like 6 times, it's like 900 minerals in these gateways, which aren't doing anything quite yet. Stasis could be really important. Oh my god, this is huge, because this is going to allow these gateways to get another production cycle in. Yes, you can say that, of course, SpeCial also gets another production cycle in, but it's way bigger for the person who is saving a bunch of money because he's waiting for 8 gateways to become freaking available. Double, triple mine, all get taken out before they get to do any damage. Sentry does get targeted down, but that's not worth 4 Widow mines. Oh my god, this is an all-in as well, what SpeCial is playing here. This needs the mines. Imagine 4 more mines with this push. You either need to kill like 20 workers, or you need to have the mines with the push. Not like this. This is absolutely awful here for SpeCial, who I think is walking straight into his death right now. Interesting blink forward. Is going to snipe both of the mines though with that. Actually ends up being a really good call. I love that. Templar Archives being constructed as well. +2 attack is already on the way here. The boys are being pulled. As for a second time in a row, we have an all-in. This time it's going... Oh my god. Astrea, he's like, oh, let me take a fort base. I think I need it. No, well, I don't think you do need it, actually, buddy. I think what you need right now is just as many units as you can get. A couple of batteries wouldn't hurt either. This is a no-sentry army, though. The sentry snipe might actually be important here. No Guardian Shield. Don't forget, Guardian Shield adds 2 armor onto every unit that is in it. Probes are going to fall in the natural right now. SpeCial getting into a position as well where Zealots can't really connect with this army anymore. The moment SpeCial gets to the ramp, yeah, SpeCial is like, hey, wait a second, this is a ramp. I've got the high ground now, and surely that means something. And indeed it does. Perhaps some hold. Yep, there we go. Good hold position. Micro on these SCVs. Look at that. Zealots not capable of actually moving through. They're all dancing with the SCVs. And SCVs aren't even particularly good dancers. Marines in the back dealing a lot of damage. But in the end, it might still not be enough. 60 supply for special right now against a 90 of Astrea. Astrea manages to hold with a huge gas bank. We had a a sizable Marine Marauder army also taking out some workers over here. It is 2 base against 2 base. And in 2 base against 2 base, very often the Terran player can be down a couple of workers. I love this. This is a brilliant play here. There's no pylon to reinforce this position. I'm not so sure if Special can hold, but if he can hold this, there's a possibility. No! Attack the probes! There we go. SCVs are going to be taken out right now. Special needs to evacuate this position. Does he? He's winning the fight. Oh my god, this is an insane game. I can't believe this. Holy crap, this is sick. Marines are going to stay alive. What are the upgrades for these bad boys? Just +1? Why do they look so strong? That's ridiculous. Mine is going to burrow right now as this base is in trouble. Literally half a Zealot could kill this army. Look at this. They're like a sneeze away from dying. Like, all you need is 1 Zealot with a call. You get like a spray attack over all of these bad boys, but the Zealots actually get there too late. The final shots of the Marines and Marauders take out the base. GG gets called and Special wins. A very unlikely game to win. Holy crap, that was sick. And that evens up the score 1-1. Here we are in game number 3 of this already pretty epic best of 7, I have to say. This has been a very good series, or at least a fun series to watch so far. This one, I really am a big fan of these players. I mentioned it before, the Gumihos of the world, the specials, the heroes who bring some fire at a very high level. They kind of stray away from the standard and they just create these entertaining games. Like that last game was insane. I'm kind of sad that I missed what that initial Marine Marauder squad did. Wouldn't surprise me if they took out like 10-12 workers there on the third base and then they come back in, take out that base altogether. It's fantastic play. The decision making of Special in these situations is actually extremely high level. What he lacks in mechanics, perhaps, he definitely makes up for with his gigantic brain. He's really smart, really clever tricks. It's funny because when you think of Special, it's like he's a guy that pulls a lot of tricks, but also he seems to have an infinite amount of tricks, you know? And he just rotates them back in. On some tricks that he played in Wings of Liberty. He's like, oh, it seems like this is the correct time for it. Ooh. Triple depot wall here. If I'm Astrea, I'm a little bit curious why there's no factory in the wall, which is pretty much the golden standard. And you probably want to start considering a proxy factory at this point. You probably want to start considering a proxy factory. Because that is indeed what is happening. It's easy for me to say as well. Ooh, misclick there. We'll end up getting the second probe as well eventually. So the Stalker now pops out. 225 in the game. It's kind of late. This wasn't a Nexus before core either, was it? Or am I mistaken? Oh, this was. No, that doesn't make any sense. Nexus would have been done already. Second Reaper now is going to move out. This base is actually still kind of naked. It is somewhat dangerous here. Special. Also playing with fire with this one Reaper. So yeah, this is a classic special move. This is a classic special move. He's done this a lot. There's no detection whatsoever. The armory is... well, what is it? A little bit over half right now. The first mine is going to run in immediately. Do I like that? Armory will finish up, I guess, the moment it shoots. You can retarget maybe a couple of times. Yes, beautiful. Good on burrow here out of Special. And a very important one. I wouldn't have minded if he even could have moved a bit further down immediately. Second gateway gets cancelled, but I don't want to say that this game is over. But the game is pretty much over immediately here. Look at this. Great start for Special, following it up with 2 barracks as well. Does not need to get a starport because he already has a way to get these mines in. Stalker will get taken out. One of these mines maybe can start moving again. This is just brilliant. I love this build so much. And Special is great at knowing when to play it. He doesn't kill a build, you know? You know how sometimes when you have a song that you really like, you hear it on the radio, like, oh my god, this is good. And you get it on Spotify, you play it 35 times in a row in 1.5 days, you get pretty tired of the song pretty fast. Special, he hears a song on the radio, he plays it once on Spotify, and then has like a schedule when he can play it again. He'll play it like in a week and a half from that point, and he'll play it in 3 weeks from that point again, and then 4.5 weeks later. So he'll forever enjoy that song. Me, I can't hear majority of the songs that I liked anymore because I either put them as an alarm at some point in my life, or I decided that, you know, what's a good plan the entire day, just listening to the same song over and over on repeat. That does tend to kind of, you know, lower the enjoyment of the overall song. But SpeCial is perfect with this. He'll throw out these builds. He says, hey, it's time for me to proxy factory in your main base. And yes, he'll play it a couple of times in like 1 week, you know, play it 2 or 3 times, and then he retires the build. And you think he forgot how to do it. You kind of forget about it as well, because he has so many freaking builds, and he's just showing off his great diversity here. What a fantastic player to watch. Actually, currently probably my favorite Terran player to watch, together with Gumiho, I think. Gumiho, also really fun, but tends to keep it a little more standard in a way, almost. SpeCial, beautiful stuff. Actually beautiful stuff. Is in a great position. 35 against 36. Has a bunch of money in the bank as well. It's already teching into Stim, Combat Shield. Starport is done. eBay halfway done. Don't forget that if the armory actually stays alive, that could be somewhat of a big deal. What is the tech follow-up going to be for Astrea? Like, this is the real issue. It isn't even so much that Astrea has terrible supply. Like, his eco sucks, don't get me wrong. Ideally, he'd have like 8, 9, 10 more probes here. So he lost 15, so ideally he'd have 15 more probes. But that's somewhat unrealistic. The Reaper, by the way, with 5 kills, all probes. The real problem here is that he just doesn't have any tech. He's getting his Robo Bay right now. What I believe is going to happen is that SpeCial will move across the map with 2 medevacs, a bunch of Marines, Marauders, and he should just win the game straight up. If he doesn't win with the first 2 medevacs, he should win with medevac 3 and 4, which can drop into a main base as well. There's no reason for him to fall behind economically during all of this. It's not like he's all-inning against a tech, against a tech disadvantaged Protoss. No, he's just playing a standard macro game, and he has the ability to kill with the first push. And in my mind, he should be capable of killing here with the first push. It's going to be up 14 supply. Stim combat against half an Immortal. This Colossus is not going to finish up. CC will be built on location here on the 3rd. +1 hasn't even started yet for Astrea. Twilight Council. I don't even think Astrea has thought of the hotkey for the Twilight Council yet. That's how far the Twilight Council is removed from his current situation. Like, he first needs to get thermal lands. He first needs to get +1. He'll need to get a second Colossus. He needs to get so many things before he can even consider a Twilight Council. That drops are going to be a real issue for the next 2.5 to 3 minutes. And this push is going to be a real issue for the next 15 seconds. Colossus is going to pop out right now as the mine moves forward. Marauders also stimming in, and the control for Astrea defensively here is pretty good. Immortal's going to get sniped down. That means that the Marauders are a little bit more valuable in this army right now. Every single unit is going to straight up die. Good control out of SpeCial. Drops over the Stalker Warp, and that was a cute move there. Very nice. He's kind of styling on his opponent here. He's going to go for some pick-up micro, cheeky little SpeCial. Saying, what's up, buddy? Having a good time over here? Because I am. I definitely am having a good time. Astrea will try to stay in, but this game is 100% over. Does not have the infrastructure to quickly replenish his lost units. Does not have the tech, even if he would have the infrastructure to build the units to make these units deal any real damage. There is a full medevac here that you might want to unload at some point. Yep, there we go. SpeCial +1's about to finish up as well. More probes do end up falling down. This Colossus will never finish up. There's 900 minerals in the bank for SpeCial. There's 800 in the bank for Astrea, and the game ends in favor of the Mexican Terran. Here we are in game number 4. I'm curious to see what SpeCial has cooked up for us this time around. It's going to be a gas first, just like in the first game. We can see that because there's going to be about 100 gas available by the time the barracks finishes up. Barracks finishes at 131, 132 rather than 127. These are some key timings to know if you're a Protoss player at the high level. If you're a Diamond player Protoss, please do not remember these timings. You're going to absolutely mess with your own mind. He's got the barracks finishing at 133. What did HARSTEM say again about that? Like, well, maybe your opponent just fell asleep at the start of the game. Forgot that he had to build a depot to get a barracks. You never know what happens there. So just be careful with these reads. You always need to confirm and reconfirm to make sure that the reads are correct. A good read, however, is to click the gas and see, hey, by the time the barracks finishes at like 131, does he have 100 gas? Then most likely it's going to be a gas burst. Alright. Nexus is about to finish up here, as we have our Adept also coming out. Cute little Adept. What is this opener? Oh god. What is this? This looks like someone thought up on, like a theory crafted as well. I don't like this. He's gonna get a fast third base here. He'll take it behind. Sentry Stalker. Okay, he's gonna get a lot of units. He double chronoed, which means he can get 4 units out pre-warp gate. He'll have a lot of units to defend some crap. What's actually quite good against this is to play Mind Drop into Raven. I'm going to explain why that is after this Reaper dies to 2 gateway units. Okay, this is, I don't want to say the worst case scenario, but it's definitely a bad case scenario here. Second Sentry. Oh, good lord, Astrea. I sometimes get emails from people telling me about this type of build order, you know, it's like, hey, listen to this. You open up with 5 sentries against Terran and you just keep scouting. What I keep forgetting is that if you get 5 sentries in the early game, is that the moment the opponent moves out, he'll kill you. When he moves out with like the first 2 medevacts, because sentries aren't as great when units can fly anymore. 2 sentries isn't necessarily bad, and against the build order opener, or against the build order that SpeCial is doing here specifically, I actually really like Astrea's opener. I think this matches up extremely well. Just extremely well, because you get full information basically immediately. You can build as many batteries as you want while keeping good eco. You have a very high gateway unit count as well, because you go 4 gateway units before warp gate. So despite me not liking this build, in this specific scenario, this is probably one of the best build orders that you can have. Getting fast stack isn't important against someone that stays 1-1-1 into triple CC most likely. So your late tech isn't going to be an issue. There is no air harassment which is coming to you, so not having catch in either Blink or Phoenix also isn't an issue. The only harass that's going to happen is with a Liberator, and Liberators suck against just 3 Stalkers in position and quick responses, which Astrea does have. This position is really, really good for Astrea, and it's all thanks to this build order. Now, this either could be pure luck, or this could be preparation or knowledge of the player. It's sometimes difficult to say. But like I said, I think the actual build order sucks, but in this scenario, it's good. And with that in the back of our minds, we're going to continue this game as we have this tank defending. This tank in a different life would have been a gardener. Is that what you call them? A groundsman, maybe? There are these people that takes care of the plants and flowers. My gym has a guy that full-time does the flowers and the gardens. The garden and the flowers at my local gym are actually fantastic. And although initially I thought it's a bit weird that a gym has this many things, I've grown to appreciate it, you know? Like I walk in and I feel better just seeing all these nice little flowers, and I like to walk through the sprinkler as well, because I'm mentally a 7-year-old. Yeah, I got wet. I just find it very fun. Ooh! Liberator's taking out a couple of workers. 3 workers to be exact. It's good damage. And this is kind of... I want to show the issue with this opener, but it's difficult because SpeCial isn't building units. But we can kind of see it here already. Because you don't have any catch, you need to keep units in every single position in order to defend a base. So if you want to be safe against a Mind Drop, you need to have units in 3 bases. If you want to be safe against a Raven with auto turret harass, you need units in 3 bases. That means that very little harassment units can deal a lot of damage, direct and indirect. You're forcing out a lot of Stalkers. You're always going to get a couple of probe kills as well, because you just don't have any catch whatsoever. That's the main issue. Oh my god, what is this? I've been talking so much, I completely missed the follow-up. What is this crap? SpeCial following this up with triple CC into Battlecruiser. And he's been kind of pushing into fake pushing, just being on the map the entire time, which makes it difficult for Astrea to immediately get up to a really high infrastructure. So we still see only 2 gateways out. There are 10 Stalkers. Blink is on the way, but it's not going to finish up. There's no battery in the main. It's going to be triple starport. These strategies that we've seen so far in this series are absolutely bonkers. They're insane. I've seen Gumiho play this before on this map, but with a very different opener, if I recall correctly. This is so sick. I really, really like this. Just the pure build order diversity that SpeCial is showing here is phenomenal. A phenomenal build order diversity. And just stylistic diversity. Well, we've seen 2 base all-ins with Bio. We've seen, what is it, the Battlecruisers teleporting in at the 7-minute mark. We've seen SEV pools. We've seen Mech all-ins. What else have we seen? I think that's pretty much it, I guess. Still, great stuff. One of these Stalkers is going to die. Second Stalker is going to die. This is a risky move here that SpeCial is going for, because this exposes the Battlecruiser to a quick and sudden death. That's something you usually don't want. It's going to get a lot of worker kills as well, though. There's no safe spot here. SpeCial, no. Right? I was like, I've tried this before with my oracles. It doesn't work. And I guess SpeCial didn't know that. And he should have known, because he saw it earlier with the Liberator as well. Like, the Liberator got attacked there. It's not just queens that can attack that area, my friend. Double Nexus going down. So going up to not 4, but 5 base. And funnily enough here, Astrea is actually in kind of a crap spot because of his Colossus. If he would have played Charge and Blink here, he would have had a way higher gateway count. And you don't really want Colossi against Battlecruisers. The reason for that is quite simple. It's because Colossi do not shoot up. This is like one of the higher level concepts in StarCraft 2. But if there are units that are flying, you need units that have a range attack that can shoot up. I remember when I first played StarCraft 2, I was very confused that not all range units could just shoot up. I mean, if you have a range attack, why can't you just aim it at the sky? It made no sense to me whatsoever. Did he just try killing his own Stalker? I think so. That Yamato also hit, I believe. I don't think it missed, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it hit. Okay, 4th base is being set up as well here. This is all being done of legit nothing. It's like tanks, constant tank production. Right, this is beautiful. There's like no production facilities except the triple starports. I would love to see an armory though. I think that's absolutely key here. Like, ship weapons on battlecruisers are insane. I think a battlecruiser has an attack speed of like 0.16 or something like this. So every single time, like, the higher your attack speed, obviously the better attack upgrades are going to be, and the better armor upgrades are against it. Because imagine you do the same damage, except you have it in one shot, then the armor only gets calculated in once. So the way that armor works, if you have an attack of 5, someone has 1 armor, the attack only deals 4 damage. So if you shoot a lot, then that armor counts every single time, you know, -1, -1, -1, -1. It's the same if you have an attack upgrade on these units. Oh, once again, it's kind of, he's scaring me here, SpeCial with this movement. Might actually end up losing another BC. It's very sloppy play. This is not a safe position either, is it? Needs to move a bit to the left, maybe then it is. I don't actually think it ever can be. We have another battlecruiser moving in here. These are suicidal battlecruisers. This is some kamikaze play right here. Supply is still fairly high for SpeCial, but usually one of the things that you want with BCs is that you build up the BC count, because they have a teleport ability, they have 12,000 HP as well. You can repair them. Like, actually only have 550 HP. I'm sorry I said 12,000. That was incorrect. And I'd like to... What's it called? You rectify it? I rectify it. My bad. I'm a responsible journalist. I send out some fake news. I take it back. Battlecruisers do not have 12,000 HP. They only have 550. Which feels very similar though, if you're playing against it. I responded from an emotional place. I regret doing that, and I will not do it again in the future. 5th base here is mining already with a bunch of probes. We have 6 gases. This is an attack that looks good in theory, and also probably is good. Because the defensive abilities of Marines without upgrades are not great. So you saw, like, the supplies were pretty close, but 35 supply of that was in Marines without upgrades, no combat shield, no stim. These guys, they don't tank a whole lot, and they also deal no damage whatsoever. So, yeah, this game has now officially ended with SpeCial floating 2,800 minerals currently. This is not because SpeCial is a noob. This is because with the production that he's going for, you simply cannot spend your minerals quick enough. Which is why probably if you're playing this, eventually you need to get like 2 factories that are just pumping Hellions the entire time. So you play like Battlecruiser Hellion with Blue Flame, you harass with the Hellions, you harass with the Battlecruisers. However, this is something that we don't see that much, because it's really weird to build that many Hellions. But you simply cannot spend your minerals, especially on a map where you only have 5 gas, of course. That even becomes a bigger issue. Like you can't, like I said, you're gonna end up building Marines, which are completely useless. You much rather have Hellbats in defensive situations like this. We've been talking a lot about this game being over in the past 35 seconds, but SpeCial actually is... I don't want to say he's making a hold or he's defending this, but he's doing way better than I thought he would. To be fair, I thought he would have already left the game by now, so I set the bar relatively low. This command center is going to end up dying, no matter how much the SCVs wanted to repair it. Tanks will try to siege up as well. Single planetary is not going to be enough to push all of this back. BC count still only on 4. How many BCs have he lost already? 8! He's lost 8 battlecruisers. Now, some of those in the defensive setup, but a lot of them, I think 5 or 6, he's lost just teleporting across the map and flying into positions where they weren't safe. A couple more BCs are going to get taken out. No more tanks, not even on the high ground here. And that means that this game now is officially coming to a close, at least I believe. We have a couple of Yamatos going off. We finally have some upgrades. Yeah, we do actually have the +1 ship weapons. Maybe if we get up to 7 battlecruisers and 12 stalkers get sniped by the planetary, it is possible. Tank on the high ground, I think, would be a wise decision, but tanks are only being made 1 by 1 in this case, which isn't uber useful. Astrea is just going to keep on the pressure as well. And it's not like Astrea is all in with this. He has 97 workers. He has a very good eco. He just wants to trade out some units right now. He can right-click the planetary if he wants to, honestly. He can right-click most things if he wants to right now. Like, there's only a single tank. Single tanks aren't as powerful. Beyonce hasn't written a song about them. All the single tanks. All the single tanks. Put your hands up. Up in the sky. I mean, this is a desperate... Oh my god! I was gonna say this is a desperate play, but that's a brilliant play. I love that. I really do love that. It's probably not going to work out, but this was by far the best chance that SpeCial had. This is insane. I never even thought about that. Holy crap. Imagine if he does this with 12, 13 BCs. Because the only power that Astrea has isn't in the direct army, but it's in the Remax. So imagine he snipes the Cyber Core, and then there's not enough Stalkers there immediately to kill it. You just take out the pylons and win the game. That would have been sick, but doesn't end up working. And thus Astrea ties up the series 2-2. Here we are in our 5th game, as we open up with an SCV making a rather short journey. Going over here to build a barracks. Double gas. This is what we consider, or what we call... in StarCraft 2 lingo, a fake proxy. Despite technically it not being in the main base, it is a fake proxy. It wants to make the Protoss player believe that it's a real proxy, but in reality it's just close by the main base. So something to keep in mind here. Now, what are the preferred responses for Protoss? Ideally, a toss does nothing here. And what do I mean by nothing? Is you just continue your regular plan. So you get yourself a cybernetics core, you get a nexus, and you don't get a zealot. I repeat, you do not get a zealot. Now, of course, Astrea doesn't know that, so he might get a zealot. Yeah. And this is exactly what SpeCial wants. And he played this out perfectly. On Cosmic Sapphire, we saw him go for that proxy, and Astrea did not build a zealot, and he paid a price for that. Now, Astrea's like, hey, last time I didn't build a zealot, that went terrible. Let me build a zealot this time around. And what does he do? Builds a zealot. Does scout that there's a factory in the main base, so it's not going to be a proxied factory. That might float into a main. Do we get a battery here? I hope we don't. I really hope we don't. Not yet, right? What is this guy doing? Hello? What's wrong with you? No. Oh, come on. He's just waiting for that Reaper, huh? Oh, he dies. Ooh. Reaper decides to give his life for the Swarm. For the Dominion. Gives his life for the Dominion. There we go, not for the Swarm or for Ire. Doesn't sound quite as good though, the Dominion. Because it's multiple syllables, I guess. Ire also has multiple syllables. Dominion, triple syllables. Swarm, one syllable. That's probably why it sounds so bad, no, Dominion? Because it's triple syllable. Maybe because it's a word starting with a D. Also doesn't sound as good. Second Reaper is going to move out across the map. Maybe get some damage done as... Yep. Mine takes out a Stalker that got a little bit too curious. What do they say again? Curiosity killed the Stalker. Definitely the case here. Ooh. How many workers have we lost so far? 2 workers, 2 Reapers and a Stalker. Overall... Wait, did the Zealot get cancelled? Did I miss the Zealot getting cancelled? I missed the Zealot getting cancelled. So the Zealot got cancelled. Let's make a quick evaluation of the situation. We have a quick blink, pre-robo. We have 2 Stalkers out right now. We're going to get a double Stalker warp in. No, there's no gas for that. It's going to be a... maybe there will be. Double Stalker warp in here. Good vision on the left. This mine drop is going to be semi-okay. Mine actually should start moving forward. I would have loved for this mine to just walk into the natural, but simultaneously with this medevac drop, of course. Like if you hit 5 seconds after the medevac drop hits, there's no point. Well, maybe it's going to be just fine. Here we go. It's going to be set up here. We'll see the boost in. Boost man. It's gonna get these mines in, and these mines might get to shoot. No, just one section. Oh my god! He almost managed to catch that. Did you see that? How sick would that have been? Hello? Why aren't we building an observer yet? He's so slow with that observer, actually, that he might need to pull workers away a second time, which would be really bad. Why isn't he chronoing? Oh, there's no chrono available. It's not really his fault, I guess. Still, it pisses me off. We have a second medevac coming in as well right now. So we will see some of these Stalkers. No, did that mine completely miss? I think so. 3 workers get taken out. Oh my god. Sometimes you have these splash damages taking out the observer. We saw a scan here trying to aim for the ops. Does not quite get it. Do we get it? No. No good mine drop there. We will maybe get another shot with this mine. No, we won't. We absolutely won't. Fairly unfortunate here for SpeCial. Overall, a fine situation, I think, for the Terran player. Follows this up with a Raven. Sees a siege tank building as well here. And gets the double gases on top of that. Wait, was it? What? Why is he building 2 Marines? Maybe he wants to swap these out? Is that the plan here? Swap these to the Raven, I guess. So we might as well build some Marines. It's gonna be single tank then. Yeah, okay. Alright. Don't completely mind the build order. Look how scared Astrea is of moving out right now. Yeah, he's pooping his pants. He's like, what if there's more mine drops coming? He's gonna scout with his observer. It is frustrating when this happens. I'm never sure if they probably want to boost in. Like, if the Terran knew that there was no Blink Stalkers. It's extremely risky to boost in and try and chase one of these bad boys if there's Stalkers on the map. Raven will make its way across the map right now, which I think is generally considered a good move. Or maybe just going to hide in the corner. That's less of a good move. Four gateways extra. Colossus on the way. Ooh. You know what's funny? Against a Colossus opener, you probably actually want to keep this Raven at home. Because then you can interference matrix the Colossus when you push out. On the other hand though, if you do a little bit of damage here, this is a very vulnerable build which Astrea is playing. If you lose a couple of workers, it's difficult to continue full on production. It feels like it really messes with your supply. SpeCial scans, sees the Robo Bay, and continues on with the Raven here. That is interesting. There is a recall available in the main. It's not going to be used yet. So we see a warp in, a couple of Stalkers. The Raven will try to move into safety. At least I can only imagine it will try to move into safety. More workers actually are going to get taken out here. That's what, 5, 6, 7? Oh no. What? Astrea with some huge errors here. Does have a bunch of these Marines out. Is going to get caught by this Colossi. Not the greatest control out of SpeCial immediately. Very good control out of Astrea. Brilliant target fire there on those Marines with the Colossus and absolutely destroying this fight. That was very, very poorly controlled here out of SpeCial. And despite his good initial damage, I do believe that SpeCial is going to still be in a little bit of trouble. Yes, the worker counts are really close. They're fairly even. But I am not so sure if this feels good right now for our Mexican Terran player. The medevac is going to escape, which is big. 51 workers against 54. You have +2 on the way already? Holy crap. I guess he just skips his armor upgrade because he already has an armor. He's like, hey, why would I want armor? Armor doesn't actually help that much against Protoss. Attack upgrades is where it's at. This one's gonna shoot again. Is it? No, it's not. Cool. Tight. Sick. Another double mine drop is heading out right now. I feel like oh, did this one not manage to drop something? Maybe it did. Maybe I just missed it. Salad will spot this medevac and see if Astrea also spotted it. He definitely did. Double warp in towards the main base. Will not be in time though. These mines are just going to end up dropping. Ooh, a little bit of congestion there. 4 workers taking out. 5 workers dying. Another double mine drop will get cleared before it gets to its target. I think this will be the end of the mine drops. Feels like. It has dealt some damage, but now it's time to kind of switch gears here for SpeCial. I wonder what that gear is going to be. We see a sensor tower being thrown down here. We see, what is this? 3 barracks, 5 barracks. So that's good production. Something heading towards the far left side. It's going to be triple mines. You get taken out. Matter of fact, with 3 mines. I actually thought this would be the end of it, but SpeCial doesn't believe so. These Stalkers won't be in position in time. That's kind of a big deal. If there's any anticipation here in the natural, that would be nice, but there's not. So it's going to be a mine drop there as well. Taking out more and more workers. 68 workers right now for SpeCial against 59 of Astrea. Astrea's in a little bit of trouble. Is now just busy chasing around these medevacs. We see a scan, aggressive scan, and +2 about to finish up as well. Double interference matrices are available. Disruptor pops out, gets sniped immediately. Mines here being used. Very, very good use of these mines. They're trying to zone out that army. Did he just throw 2 interference matrices on the same Colossus? I think that is what happened. Takes an absolutely terrible engagement once again. Despite the good start of the engagement and despite being up 10 workers, despite absolutely destroying his opponent when it comes to harass, the fights are just so poor out of SpeCial so far in this game. It surprises me. It almost feels like he's saying, hey, I'm so far ahead, there's no way I can lose this. And then there's like a devil in his shoulder. Really? Watch this. And absolutely throws a fight there. Just not very good, taking a lot of damage, taking a big beating on these Marauders already. Single Viking with these Marines is just not going to be enough against triple Colossi. I mean, you're stimming forward with 10, 15 Marines. They're just going to get lasered down by these Colossus. That is not good. Forward base has finished up for, or actually just starting now for SpeCial. Forward base has finished up for Astrea, but Astrea is still down in worker count. Eco is going to probably equalize a little bit at least. Forward base should get cancelled here. SCV pool heading in. Marauder count relatively low still. And SCVs will tank a couple of these shots. There just does not seem to be enough Terran here though. 57 against 69 workers right now. 2-2 on the way as well here for Astrea. I'm still fighting +2 against 1-1 right now. You have another Colossi being produced. Would not mind seeing a second robotics facility either, but does not seem to be in the works quite yet. Salad run by heading towards the 3rd will get spotted by the sensor tower, and thus every single Salad is going to end up dying. Prism that wanted to go into the main base will find these turrets standing in his way as the Disruptor takes out another mine. Interesting recall. 8 more Salads being warped in. Could go for a run by. Ooh, this is a good drop. I actually believe that to be a very good drop. This is an insanely good drop. Beautiful movement. Surprising that Astrea doesn't have a lot of vision on the map. Is going to end up spotting it. Just recalled though, so does not necessarily mean this is going to be successful. The movement here out of SpeCial is actually quite good. I don't have any issues with the movement. So far I've mainly been having issues with the way he's been fighting. There's actually no medevacs except the two on the left side. We have a massive Zealot warping into the main base. I think this actually is this pretty much game, no? SpeCial will be forced to attack into his opponent right now. And does not have the army with which he can break a defensive toss position. Losing SCVs in the main. Fort base never restarted. Oh, this is once again good movement out of SpeCial. He's getting himself into some of the best positions that I've seen in a while. Mines are going to connect with everything as well. Vikings are moving in position. It should still not be enough splits out of SpeCial. Not terrible, but also not great. It wouldn't have mattered. GG gets called as Astrea takes the lead for the first time in this series with 3-2. Here we have game number 6 between SpeCial and Astrea. I think for the first time in this entire series, you see Astrea open up with a Nexus before core. As, ooh, SpeCial once again with a little bit of a trick here. Now, not a massive trick, but a trick nonetheless. Opening up with a Marine into a Reaper. I'm a huge fan of this move. I'm a fan of many moves, but this is especially a move that I'm a fan of. And the reason for that is fairly simple. It is because the moment as a Protoss player you scout something like... Ooh. Huh. You scout something like a Marine first, your mind goes into like, okay, I can send a unit across the map without any real risk. The first harassment unit that can truly hurt you is going to be a Hellion. And you see a sentry popping out here. It's going to move down. Look at that. It's going to move into the natural. Hello? Use the chrono boost. Second sentry! Oh my god, he's lost it. Oh, it's the same build as on Moondance. I know. Look at that. Reaper comes in. You want to fight that with a sentry? Dude, by the time the sentry tickles this Reaper to death, half of your economy is going to be murdered. Oh my god! This is the first time I've ever seen a Reaper being held like this. Does mean that the initial scout is going to be delayed. If SpeCial has a memory, which I assume he does, he'll remember what happened last time. And what happened What's his build order, by the way? What in the world am I watching? Oh, this is Battlecruiser proxy, isn't it? What happened last time was a fast triple CC. This is... Or Banshee. It could be Banshee, actually. Oh, this is a fake. He's... Oh my god. I think it's gonna be Banshee here. Yeah, this is Banshee. Okay, so he's faking playing a 2-Rex factory, which... If I were to scout this, let me just put myself in the mind of Astrea here. If I scout 2 barracks, a factory, and a very delayed starport, or I guess in this case, no starport whatsoever. I am expecting there to be a 3rd barracks, which is being proxied. So Astrea spots this and probably believes right now that there is a barracks proxy in this location. What you want to do against this is you move across the map with a bunch of stalkers to meet your opponent's units. I think is what you do. You probably want to get out an Immortal as well. I think these would be correct also. Oh my god. Astrea can see into the future. This is an Why would you not just make it a little bit to the right side? Oh no. There's like, this spot isn't made for a proxy. This is a sick move though with the Stalkers. I'm not sure if it was a mistake that the Stalkers were built accidentally or if they weren't, but this really just ruins the strategy completely. Like actually completely. Astrea could believe that this is a proxy Battlecruiser. Astrea could also believe that this is a proxy Banshee, proxy Liberator. I mean, we're still gonna see a push out here out of SpeCial. As this Banshee moves in towards... into the main base with his cloak. This really is an issue of this build order, by the way. Look at this. Cannon being constructed right now. This is what I was talking about on the Moon Dance game. Is you don't have any catch whatsoever. So you need to just use your units to defend stuff. But if you don't actually have higher speed, you can never catch your opponent. Look at this. This Banshee is just flying through, picking off everything. Look, cannons have to be built here. And now this push is going to hit. At the same time, another Banshee will hit the main base as well. You're going to need to get units in there, unless this gets rallied into the cannon, which it does. It's just straight up going to die, but SpeCial has bigger things to worry about right now. So he's attacking into a super battery, which does end up getting targeted down somehow, some way. These Marines have combat shield, no stim, more Banshees being produced. Bunker being used aggressively, cannon gets taken out here. First Colossus is out. There's still 2 tanks in the back though. Could start by targeting down that Colossus immediately. Yep, there we go. A little bit more target fire perhaps. Colossus will fall. 1 shot on these probes. Good scan there. Brilliant scan even. I'm a huge fan of that move. More units are popping in right now as a couple extra Marines show up. And with the extra damage output of the tank against the Stalkers, SpeCial actually gets somewhat of a decent-ish trade. Banshee gets sent in as well right now. Realizes with this scan that there's no detection in this area. Should cloak it up. Should immediately cloak it up even. Take out both of these Stalkers and then start gunning down some of these probes. We have more Marines running in as well right now. Double cannons as well as double batteries being constructed for Astrea, who will end up losing a couple of extra workers. I can only imagine. Where are the observers? They're just not out. There's a Colossus on the way. That means that this base needs to be evacuated right now. It's a long way away from that observer though. Holy crap. 52 workers against 45. Third CC is about to finish up. eBay is on the way. We have a second starport being produced as Banshee production continues to happen here. And this fourth base could actually be a bit of a bait. The Banshee gets taken out. Finally, 80 supply though for SpeCial against the, what is the mere, well, 82 right now for Astrea as well. But 55 against 49, still good worker counts. This is Banshee tries to get in, tries to get some kills. Sloppy control here. Both players are, I believe, in Korea at the moment, so there should be no ping issues. Actually, ping in Korea is extremely low. It's like 5 to 10 ping or so. It's really, really low. Korean server is, I believe, in Seoul. Maybe just barely outside of Seoul. I don't actually know where it is. I just remember that the ping is really low there. Even if the Korean server would be more in the south of the country, probably still would be fine. Probably a very low ping. Interesting push here coming out of SpeCial. Probably would like these Marines to just pull back a little bit and let the tank do the majority of the work on these Colossus. This base is in trouble. Is it in enough trouble that there's a risk of it dying? I don't know. What I wouldn't mind is if these Marines get picked up and dropped in the main base. I think this would be a very high tier move. There's still no blink. Sure, you probably give up some of these tanks, but at the same time you put a lot of pressure in the main, so you need to start making a decision. Ooh. Unsieges the tanks here? Can't release them into Colossus here, you know that. We learned that last game. SpeCial still in a... He's building units from this. How many Banshees have we lost so far? 4 Banshees. Now our Raven is out. Do we still have a Banshee? Yeah, so 5 Banshees have been produced. 3 tanks set up in the middle of the map as well. I'm a huge fan of this position here for SpeCial. I'm a huge fan of SpeCial's position. Huge, huge, huge. 4 GC already on the way as well. Would not mind an armory as well as a second eBay. You see 5 racks already started producing. Yeah, here we go. Now, if this was Gumiho or beyond, we'd probably be going into an 8 racks. As a follow-up here, as this is SpeCial, I don't actually ever see mid to late games coming out of him. So I don't actually know what his preferred setup is going into one of these scenarios. He either wins early, he loses early, or he plays Mech. And he's not playing Mech, he hasn't won yet, and he hasn't lost yet. So we're really walking on new terrain here. Exploring new terrain. It's exciting as well. I feel like a caveman in the olden times. Going further than my tribe ever has. The excitement. Then I get killed by a mammoth. Less exciting. A saber-tooth tiger? What are these guys called? All my knowledge from the olden times is based on the Pixar documentary Ice Age 1, 2, 3 and 4. So it's fairly limited. God, some of the best documentaries I've ever seen. For example, I didn't know that there were squirrels back in the day as well. These guys must have really struggled. This game also is a struggle though. A couple of interference matrices going down. Raven is idling and gets targeted. Ooh. There is thermal lens, but that Colossus really moved forward to start dealing with some of these Marines. Good break here coming out of Astrea. Does lose a base for it and doesn't actually break SpeCial all the way quite yet. See some kiting back right now. We do have concussive shells here, which is helpful of course in these scenarios. 2-1 is on the way. Vehicle weapons also being researched. SpeCial needs to be so careful engaging into these Colossus like that. It's a tricky situation often. See a second factory? Okay, now we're really starting to lose it in a big way. Where's this rally point going to? Okay, it's over here. Guess it could deal some damage against this base. A couple of zealots here, making their way towards the left side. 2-0 upgrades for our Protoss player. Like, we're just lacking some extra production here for SpeCial. It's the only thing we're lacking in this game. Worker count is good, upgrades are looking fine. I'm not sure if the second factory is the production that we need though. Playing mass tank in this scenario, I think it's possible, it's viable. Just something we don't see a lot. Once again, kind of giving his own little spin on things here. Yeah, messing it all up for the people that know proper game theory. Banshee, this is also the type of move you never really see. Like a random Banshee being sent in at the 12-minute mark. Astrea not being ready for it, unsurprisingly. If Astrea would have been ready for it, I would have been somewhat surprised. Wouldn't have called him a hacker, but I would have thought it. Like, who's ready for a Banshee at the 12-minute mark? That's kind of messed up. People say you should always be ready for everything, but that's just not true. If you're always ready for a piano falling on your head when you're walking on the street, you're living a very scared life. Also, you're consistently looking up. Oh, then you might actually slip on a banana peel. This Raptor shot doesn't actually deal that much damage, which is surprising. Banshee in the main base is dealing a lot of damage, which is somewhat surprising. At the same time, Zealot Run by also did a bunch. Is Astrea getting back into this game? Yes and no. He is making plays, but he's also losing workers. He's still down in workers. He's going to be up a base, which is nice, but only for a little bit. And he will only be capable of producing crap units, which is not super useful. Well, again, another Banshee shows up, of course, because why not continue rallying out Banshees? As I mean, it's been working so far, honestly. Can't really blame the guy. More workers being taken out right now. SpeCial sets up in a solid, aggressive position. Difficult to engage into here for Astrea. Loses his 5th base and needs to make something happen right now. So the next Banshee is already halfway done. What is this? Was that the 7th Banshee here that died? Yeah, 7 Banshees have died. 7 Banshees and a Raven have been produced from the right side. At some point we might get a fusion core. Right now Astrea is like, you know what? This thing has been, it's been fun, but it's time to go, buddy. I'll send over some Zealots. And of course, right at that point, the Banshee pops out. So Banshee will defend the starport with his life. He's like, no, I want some brothers and sisters to come out of that bad boy. You need to deal with me first. And both of these Zealots will get taken out. So this Banshee has pretty much already paid for itself. Prism gets into the main bases. There's only 2 turrets in there. Zealot Run by also heading in towards the 3rd. There are a couple of units. Big Warpin as well in the main is going to be quite useful here. More Disruptors, and with Disruptors anything is possible always. This is a very good run by. This is a run by with a lot of potential actually. The problem that I'm seeing here for Astrea is that there's still an army that is powerful and difficult to deal with, and he has really bad units at dealing with tanks. Just does not have an anti-tank army. It's gonna blink in, needs to spread out these stalkers a little bit. It's going to lose a lot. Oh my god, he will try and run away from this. Tanks continue firing as the medevacs drop on top of this army. I think that SpeCial has done it. All he needs to do right now is to get his army together, set up an attack, take out this 5th, continue pushing towards the 4th base, and life is going to be probably just fine. So another Banshee does end up dying. Don't think it dealt too much damage. We finally have a cannon starting at that base as well right now. More tanks moving forward. 6 tanks are alive. Still one Banshee somewhere on the map. Oh, it's actually in this army right now. Cloak gets activated and will allow him to start shooting some of these probes down. It's insane how much damage these Banshees have found. What's the actual worker loss? 61 workers killed in this game against 33. That's beautiful stuff. Tanks continue taking out this base as we have a rotation out of SpeCial here coming towards the right side with the upgrades that SpeCial has. Actually, he's down an upgrade, but against Stalkers apparently it doesn't matter too much. Even without EMP, he's going to be capable of taking out this army. And I think SpeCial is going to tie up the series and send us to a game number 7. Holy crap, what an insane series. Strategically, just the way that these games have been going as well. I mean, you can have cool strategies, but the games be kind of crap. These games have been highly entertaining, extremely good. I'm so curious who's going to win this. It seems like SpeCial will end up winning this game. Stims 4 takes out 1, takes out 2, and gets a clean pick up there as well. Great control. GG gets called, and we'll be going to the final game in this best of 7. And here we have arrived in that final game, and it's going to be an interesting one once again. We see a core before Nexus against the fakest of proxies. This one is still in the natural. That means it doesn't really exist. Ooh, important wall here. Probe might have wanted to go down to check where that barracks is, actually. Will we see a finish on the Zealot is the question. Will we see a finish on the Zealot? I think the answer might be no. The answer might be yes. We're seeing a finish on the Zealot. No. What? Starts the Stalker now. Oh, he saw the Reaper probably attack his probe. Interesting little move here. There's going to be a second Reaper as well. So we see a command center which will be built on the low ground. Oh, I'm excited for this. This is the game that I've been looking for. Little car coming out right now. Reactor. And then we'll see the starport. Oh boy. Battery in the main. Kind of indicates that Astrea wants to do something with these units. Or maybe he's just afraid of a double Reaper. Don't forget, if 2 Reapers jump into the main, you have a battery there. All of a sudden the Reapers are a lot less useful. Tech is going to be quite delayed here for our American Protoss player. So we have a mine drop follow-up here coming out of SpeCial, or at least initially a mine coming out. It could just be a mine into a tech lamp, of course, but with the Hellion first as well, it feels like a mine drop to me. That mine, or that a grenade is going to hit. Should not call everything a mine. It's a grenade. Two probes have been taken out. We have a Twilight Council. Link Stalkers. Oh my god, I almost got another worker there. Managed to bump it out of range of that battery. Would have been kind of huge. I love this mine positioning, don't I? I really do. I think it's a really cool move. This is probably the mine that will walk in as well. We've seen this move before coming out of SpeCial. It seems to really like that. Oh my god, it's gonna get it. Beautiful stuff. Absolutely fabulous once again. He's gonna get a kill. It's just, he has so many little tactics like this. It isn't even strategies, really. These are just tactics. He just moves. Now, sadly, he's going to end up losing that mine, but does get information on where the next 2 Stalkers are. Stalker's now trying to move into position rapidly. Probe might end up spotting this medevac. It will indeed. Astrea can move into position, at least with 2 Stalkers. Here comes the mine drop, though. We'll get the drop off and try to escape. Does not quite get the escape. I think we should not unburrow this. This was the correct call here. Observer is not going to get chrono boosted yet. Is that necessary? Don't think it is, right? 8 out of 21. This is another 12 seconds or so. Oh yeah, it's going to be just... It's going to be close, but it's going to be just barely fine. Real close, actually. Look at that. It's going to have like 2-3 seconds left. Uh-oh. There we go. 1, 2... Whew. Moved into the main base pretty quickly there. Blink's about to finish up. I think SpeCial saw that move in towards the main base and says, hey, I'm just going to go back into the natural once again. Should drop the first one on top. Is indeed going to do that. And gets a pretty... Oh my... Got the observer there with the splash. Beautiful stuff. You love to see it. There's one more mine in here. I like that rather than dropping that mine, he's just going to leave the medevac in the dead space. No, I actually like that SpeCial. I really liked what you were doing there. And I much would have preferred that mine staying in the dead space with the medevac. I guess you can just put a new medevac there with a mine. Forces units in this location, forces units in this location. Would make it really difficult for Astrea to stop any type of push that could come up at any point right now. Observer will make its way across the map as well, which is interesting to see. Ooh. What an exciting game so far. What an exciting game so far. 52 workers against 44. We have a forge, robo bay. This is going to be such a late robo bay. Look at this. Well, Stim hasn't actually even started yet. It's going to be a 5 racks. Well, what should we call it? Dedicated pressure here. It's a fairly dedicated pressure coming out of SpeCial. He doesn't even have space for the tech lab or reactor, so it's just going to be pure marine production there. If you know you're going to be building pure marines from a base or from these barracks, ideally you want to get more marauders initially. I guess unless you're playing tanks. If you're playing tanks, pure marine is completely fine. If you're not actually fighting too much, or you're not actually planning on taking too much damage with your marines, right? They'll not be the main unit taking the brunt of the damage. Hopefully. Try to move back and then let the tanks tank while your marines deal a crap ton of damage. Did that spot? I think it did. Huge. Massive spot there. Absolutely massive. This is what I sometimes prefer, having an observer spotting this type of move out rather than having a unit there. Because right now SpeCial is unaware that he's been spotted. Look at it blink forward here. Astrea is eager. Eager beaver. Eager eagle. He's just very eager. He's going to send this in right now, SpeCial is. Needs to be so careful. Let's take a look at these responses here out of Astrea. He'll probably spot that, will he? Oh yeah, there we go. Both players saw it. Astrea moved there with his camera, and we saw SpeCial immediately move back with the medevac as well, which is important. Oh, that's an observer that could end up getting taken out. We see a forward scan. Where's the tanks? Wait, the tanks are not coming? Oh, it's a fake move out. Took the long way around, this medevac did.
Additional supply depots required.
Okay, now we're gonna go for a real move out, I think. This medevac is extremely important because it will force this army to go back home, perhaps. Moving on the map to try and get out some of these interference matrices pre-fight would probably be quite good. This drop is going to end up happening in the main base. There's nothing really in position. Forward base on the way already for Astrea. Astrea does have a nice army, but he needs to use his army well. The size is good. The size of the army is very good. The initial start of the fight here is good. Combat shield hasn't even finished up yet. Tanks will zone out this army towards the top. Marines in the main base dealing a lot of damage, empowering some structures here. Has thermal lens finished up? Yes, it has. Marine drop actually ends up getting picked up as well. This base is toast. Absolutely toast here. So it's going to be a 2-base versus 2-base situation right now, in which Terrans usually are favored. On top of that, there's no counter pressure on the map. No pylons, no prism, no zealot run by being sent out, which means that SpeCial can take it pretty slow. He should be taking it slow, may I say. Should not rush in here. He needs to slowly but surely push himself forward. Try and get some wins. There's no need to rush this. Well, I guess if you have a disruptor shooting at 2 tanks at the same time, maybe there is a need to rush it a little bit. Can't move these two forward. These two need to be in the back. They need to be in the back. They're too vulnerable right now. SpeCial surely. Double interference matrices get used. Tanks are going to siege up as well. This is an extremely important position, which will be difficult to... Oh! Huge disruptor shot here. Ends up taking out that 8, 9, 10 supply. Tanks in the back are going to get taken out. At the same time, though, more probes will end up falling, and another base is going to get sniped down. If these medevacs manage to evacuate as well, this would be huge here for SpeCial. SpeCial is in a great spot right now. He's ahead. He's winning. He is absolutely winning this game. 2 base versus 2, 33 workers against 45. Upgrade situation favorable for SpeCial as well, as he's getting more tanks, he's getting more Vikings right now. This is the type of... Excuse me? Oh, he's expecting a counterattack. He's expecting a counter, but this is dangerous. Does end up spotting that observer as well. I think going back home here is the correct call, for sure. And I think staying home for a little bit probably is the correct call as well. I mean, SpeCial is going to be outmining his opponent in a decent way. We're talking 4 or 5, maybe even, yeah, 400 or 500 minerals a minute. We're talking 200 gas as well, which means that future tech for our Terran is going to be viable. We can have maybe some tech here for the Protoss player, but it's going to be very difficult. I like the disruptor call here. We see Astrea is behind, needs to make something work, and in that case, disruptors often are a very good call to have. I think SpeCial has definitely spotted this observer. Has he? No, he hasn't actually. Oh, that's interesting. That actually is somewhat interesting. I thought for sure that he saw that. Astrea is going to start moving out right now. As Marines make their way on the map. We'll get spotted here. Shadow run by coming from the right side. You have a single. Oh, never mind. We have triple tanks in the back. There's just no way that Astrea can actually do something here, right? Let's get a hit with one of these disruptors. There's a serious risk involved, by the way, with this move out. Astrea has decent map vision, but imagine a drop unloading over here at this point, or a drop unloading at this spot. You're just going to be completely caught out of position. Even if you only lose something like 8, 9, 10 workers at this point, I think the game pretty much ends right here and then. Tanks are out of position, which is actually bad. So we'll see SpeCial lose control of his own ramp, but the Zealot run by does absolutely nothing here. Astrea tries to push forward. Yep, there we go. Good drop. Very good drop. If it goes unspotted, it does not go unspotted. I think Astrea is very well aware of this. One matter of fact, ooh! Disruptor shooting his own units here. Vikings moving forward right now. Could definitely take out the Colossi. Why are we not doing that? I don't know. I definitely do not know that. We see a drop, not going for the minerals. Wanted to drop on top of that warp. It needs the stim. Now run back to the minerals anyway. Is going to get a pretty decent trade here initially. Will he actually? No. Should have been way better. 2 full medevacs against 8 zealots. I think this should have been way more of a favorable trade for SpeCial. It's still going to be just fine. 58 workers against 52. Gonna need to drop some mules at some point. We have Ghost out as well. We have +2 on the way. And now we're seeing the tank push. Still have a bunch of Vikings as well. But the meat of this army isn't actually here as much. And that surprises me. We don't have as much bio, you know? Or maybe the potatoes of the army. I guess the meat usually is the good part of a meal, right? There's loads of meat. Like the Ghost, you have medevacs, you have Vikings, you have tanks. We're missing potatoes, you know? They kind of fill you up. They're neutral, you know? Potatoes. No one really hates potatoes. Sure, there's some people that love them, but these people probably should get themselves checked. Potatoes are fine. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just not great. You don't love potatoes. You like them. You're fine with it. It's one of the two. Not a huge fan of this drop personally. Yeah, I think he should not go for it. I think we should set up a little defensively and then eventually go for like a maxed out push. That seems to be the MO of SpeCial majority of the time anyway. So these 2 DTs are going to get taken out. Shadow Strike not quite done up as the DT does end up falling. This does complicate things a little bit in my opinion. As we now see the move out here, there's a lot of tanks. Still no potatoes in this army. This is a starch-free zone. Ooh, nice pickup. Wasn't necessary. The disruptor wouldn't have reached, but it's still cool to see that he was mindful of that. Do we have a scan? I hope we do. We don't. Well, that sucks. Because this is a DT actually putting in some real serious work. At the same time, we have perhaps the final engagement here of this series. Well, not the final engagement, but the start of the final engagement. This feels extremely all-in coming out of SpeCial. It's fighting against 4 bases right now. +2 is about to finish up. Vikings moving in position. Tanks in the back, backing up the Vikings. Oh, we don't have so many scans available, do we? We have 1 more, but a tank will end up dying. Second tank in some trouble. This looks scary here for both players, honestly. If they were to fight in a straight-up scenario, I think that SpeCial actually wins, but SpeCial needs to be capable of pushing these tanks further up. The problem is going to be, how do you deal with all these DTs being sent in? How do you deal with the disruptor shots? How do you push into an army that has this many disruptors? And how do you deal with all these DTs if you're running out of scans? Every single time a scan gets used, a new DT gets warped in, and winning time is very favorable right now for Astrea. who's going to send in another DT in the back. We'll take out one of these tanks if he target fires. Of course he target fires. Another tank in trouble right now. We see an unsiege. 2 tanks end up falling, and immediately Astrea pulls the trigger here. Goes on top of this army. I don't think it's necessary, but I also don't think it necessarily is bad, as he absolutely destroys the ground force. Disruptor shot is going to connect with a big chunk here. Medevac count not high enough. GG gets called, and the series gets won by Astrea with a 4-3 score. And what a sick series this actually was. Holy crap. Huge fan of how this went. Absolutely massive fan of this entire series. If you did enjoy it as well, don't forget the like button, subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I'll try to get more of these longer series. It seems like the games are really fun in them. And you see kind of like the mind games within the series. You definitely did spot, especially coming out of SpeCial here. So cool stuff. All right, that'll be it for me today. Thanks so much for watching, and bye-bye.